Welcome to the shop, a moto podcast with your host, Jake Lowry and Grayson Crum.
Yeah. All right, Grayson. What's up? Another episode.
What's up?
So this is going to be, we have two guests.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be on the same line when we call, but to get everybody started, this will be Phillip Miller, the new owner of Miller Motorsports, which formerly NIMS.
Mm-hmm.
So Phillip bought it probably been a few months ago. We'll ask him. And then also his one of our good buddies.
Good buddy.
A Grill Time original.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Yeah, Grill Time original.
I haven't seen him a lot this year. I'm kind of sad about that.
They've been going the opposite way.
Yeah.
Alabama stuff.
Yeah.
They did that. They did a lot of King of the Mountain
stuff. I think they did the whole series.
Yeah, so...
Look, now, like, we're recording stuff. First time, like, looking at myself. I'm ugly as fuck.
Well, we already knew that.
I didn't think everybody knew that. We maybe shouldn't record today. I mean, I'm just off, you know?
No, we're good. We're good. So,
new hat.
the other guest that's our Grill Time buddy, Matthew Pettigo. For any of you local guys, you probably know him.
Everybody knows.
Very personable, very good guy that everybody sees at the track. His kid's decent. Cade's decent.
Pretty fast.
But Matthew's been helping with the track a lot there, and we trust Matthew with the track and how to prep a track and all. So, anyway, we got both of them.
Have you been since he's on this?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not.
I have.
All right.
Of course.
Well, I'm going to call them up. We're going to get them on.
I was at the race for Sarah.
Talk some.
Hello?
Hey, Matthew.
Yeah,
Welcome to Shot Moto Pod.
appreciate it.
Well,
Jake?
About time, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if it was ever going to happen. You know, it's been going on about a year and a half. Off and on.
Well, I mean, I barely know you, so kind of had to,
yeah.
make sure, get our feelers out, and make sure you'd be okay to come on.
Yeah, I may have been talking to the wrong one, though. I should have been talking to Grayson since I get to see him at the racetracks all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I can't argue that.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is Phillip sitting right there?
I am.
All right. Awesome. So, Phillip, this year, your first time on the podcast, also.
Yes, sir, it is.
And I don't know do you listen? I know Matthew listens because he yells at me every now and then when I don't mention him or Cade. So.
No, I don't. No, I subscribe, started listening. I just don't really have. I don't listen to many podcasts or actually any of them. So I'm gonna have to start.
Okay, cool. Well, I wanted to have you on to kind of talk about the track. Let people know that it's under new ownership and kind of give you a platform to, speak about it, let people know, where you're at on it, what your plans are, ideas, just to kind of, hopefully let everybody know that it's not the same place that it was before. So I got some questions. I guess I'll start off. Grayson, do you have questions?
They're all up here.
Okay, Grayson's terrible at his homework, so.
They'll come at random. I'll just start randomly asking.
All right, so Phillip, first thing, what made you want to buy a track?
So, my kids race, and I kind of just ride around, and something that we've got into, and we spend a lot of time at the track as a family and do it. It's our family thing. A lot of families play baseball, some play softball or soccer. But we go motocross race. We're a moto family, and this track's been close to us. And I've steadily seen it change over the last couple of years. And then it came for sale, and I'm like, ooh, a business opportunity, an opportunity for our family to do something together and to make motocross better in our area because it was really going downhill. And I wanted to make a good place for my kids to ride, for me to ride, for something And they come with some other perks just beside the track, with something for our family to have something other than a half-acre of land in a subdivision.
Yeah, so that's, to me, like the better track owner, because you have
the right intentions in
mind.
You
have the right intentions. You're not like, hey, I'm buying this track so I can make a bunch of money. You're like, hey, I'm buying this track so me and my kids have somewhere good to ride, and we get to share it with other people and kind of, make it a public thing. But it's ultimately it was a place for you and your kids to ride, for you to make better, and then, with that you can help make the community better and stuff. So that's, I like when, and I think everybody probably does, likes when the guy that buys a track, owns a track, is a rider himself and his kids ride. Typically you get just a better overall quality out of that. So it's good to know, what your intentions and what, that we all agree on why you bought a track, and for a good reason. So what are the goals with the track? Like, short-term goals, long-term goals. Like, what are your goals with it?
Short-term goals, I would say we're just trying to get it to where it should be, as far as back to where it was when I first started going, and everybody loved going. Mm-hmm. We want to get it back to there. We want to get it back to where if it rains for a week, we can still open on Saturday.
Yeah.
I want to be able to have a regular schedule and be able to keep on that. And I want to be able to take with what's already there and make it better. Long term, I want to be able to make changes and expand. I've got some stuff that I would like to build on site, lots of areas I want to get cleaned up and add more RV spots, add more, change the jumps around, eventually make a major change on the big track. And I already got plans for a major change on the small track when we get time. But basically just be able where I can keep it open and people come and hang out and ride and have fun.
Yeah. Well, I think a track's it's a constant improvement, and the way I see it, the more facilities and things that you put on it, that really adds a lot to it. Grayson can speak for that. You go places that you can tell they've put a lot back into the track and into the facility itself. People notice that, and people are like, they just are more willing to spend money with you when they see that, hey, he's actually gonna put this back in. He's actually trying to make something better for us, and so on that part of it. But that part could eventually, you can catch up on that. I mean, you can eventually, you get a sign-up area and tower. You get,
just like little stuff, like, man, like he graveled his entrance, or little things each time somebody comes, and makes you happy when you're like, okay, like I'm pumped to spend this amount of money here because I know he's doing the right things with it. He's not going and just pocketing everything. Yeah,
you get an appreciation for hey, they're putting some work in here. Like, let me, I'm fine with this, $100 to come practice for the day or whatever, That $100 for me, so I've, a bunch of kids.
Basketball team.
You get caught up eventually on, your facilities, but the track, to me, like, the track's just kind of always ever changing. And one thing that I've seen a lot of tracks do, and it's probably going to take, you and Matthew putting heads together, and, maybe if me and Grayson could help with some ideas, but, if you can make some alternate, like, little routes on the outdoor track, just so, like, you have a race 1 month, and then the next month have another race, or 2 months later or whatever, just your next race, you can kind of route the track a little bit different. So then it's not just always that same thing. It might be just like one section is kind of different, and that's enough, though, to, like, break it up and make it different. And it makes it to where people are kind of, it's something new. It's not really necessarily new, but it just makes it give that new feel to it.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty minor change,
Which he just changed.
Yeah, we both got.
We
both got a bunch of.
Go ahead.
Bunch of changes.
Yeah.
We want to make. We don't want all at once. We want to make a change or two now and wait, like I said, for a race, and then make a change, or wait a month or two, then make the other change. But we've got several changes that we're like, hey, let's do this, we can do that, just to make it better and different.
Yeah, and that's how I do it, because like one section at a time, because that, somebody comes twice a month to your place, if every other time they come something's different, it just gives that, like, it gives them wanting to keep coming back, because they're like, hey, I wonder what next time I come, what's going to be different, because they see that you're always changing, improving, and that keeps the interest going. And it's one of those things where, like, how do we keep people coming and interested, and you just gotta keep some new and some change, because Jeff didn't understand that. The thing's been the same since they built it. It's pretty much not changed.
2012.
And you guys have already changed some stuff,
Sand rollers.
And I like, yeah, dude, you mentioned that.
Sick.
I like the sand rollers, because I was not a huge fan of how they were, just because they were, like,
weird.
For me, they were pretty hard to double through, and it's just like, I'm like, man, if I'm having a hard time making it through here, everybody else is absolutely hating this.
Yeah, it was one of the challenges on the track, that part, which I didn't hate that as much as I've hated other ones, those two sections.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool to add a different factor to it, like of just having sand in that corner, and then you're coming out and you're just deep sand wide open trying to just like get through them. I think it's a pretty sick change.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's doubling through them anymore when it's dry. When the sand's not packed and wet.
Yeah.
When it's dry. Even Drew couldn't even double through it anymore.
Yeah. That's cool. So what's my other question I had wrote down? What's the most aggravating thing with owning a track? What pisses you off the most?
Besides Matthew.
Yeah, besides Pettigo.
Honestly, about the most aggravating thing is consistent help and stuff breaking down. Now, Matthew's consistent, but other help people for the gate and flaggers and people saying, hey, I'll come and help you flag for the race. And, you got 15 people lined up and 6 show up.
Yeah. Sounds like work.
It's like you're going to stand there and wave a flag all day long and make money.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most aggravating for me so far. I'm pretty patient when it comes to other things. And the braking stuff, I really don't mind, because I'm a mechanic. So working on stuff, it's second nature. It's just having to buy all the parts, and the stuff that I'm getting to break right now shouldn't be breaking. It's stuff that's caused by neglect, years and years of old equipment, and that's aggravating.
Yeah, for sure.
The biggest thing that I can see, because I've worked on stuff all my life, is what Phillip jumped into. Is just a lot of wore out stuff that, like you just said, was neglected over the years, not being serviced. It's just little things that, you'd rather fix. So I would rather fix the little things as they break, or as they need to be replaced, rather than getting 15 things on one tractor that is going to cost you $3,000 or $4,000 to fix. It's going to be harder for you to break down and get and pay for that all at one time, where you could fix little things $100 at a time.
Yeah, for sure. That's the same as on a dirt bike. You don't want to. I'm just gonna neglect my wheel bearings until the whole hub explodes, and
now I gotta buy a new.
Yeah, now I gotta buy a wheel. So it's like, So Matthew, what you've been doing a lot of work out there. You is it every day, a couple days a week? Did you
No.
You quit Waddle and just started being a track guy, or what?
No, I can't do that, because I'm just donating my time to track as I can. We was racing the King of the Mountain Series, and which we had a few races we had to go to before Cade had enough points ahead and everything. Well, we didn't have to go to the last one, but it's tough. Working a full-time job. And getting off, especially now since time changed. Before I was getting up there around 5 o'clock in the afternoon and was able to work till like 8, something like that. But now it's where you get up there at 5 and it's already dark, so
yeah,
I'm having to try to plan my time on the weekends, when it's dry enough. But then again, you got Cade that loves to deer hunt too, so I had to still take him deer hunting. So it's real difficult right now to find time to go help. But as you know, on any track, or just like any yard, out there in the yard, if you neglect it long enough, that's what you're going to end up with is something that's bad, kind of like what Jeff did with the track and everything. Everything we've been doing, or I've been doing, and Phillip, and Buddy that lives up there, he's helped out a whole bunch. But what we're doing is just trying to put it back in its place, not try to change too much right now, but like Phillip said, but just get the track where we can be able to cut it deep, where it will rut up. I just told Phillip Saturday or Sunday that, my main concern was the road coming in. I'd like to start on that, before the first of the year and get all the holes fixed. It'd probably take me a day to fix it with the dozer, where the water would drain, because, I've got a Class A bus, and, I don't like to come in places like that time after time, but I know other people don't either. So I would like to fix it like I would want to go to a different spot, to a different track, because I want people to be welcomed there, because it's kind of like our local track. It is our local track, but like we was talking about changes, I want to be able to change enough where Kate ain't got the advantage over the next kid every time we have a race there, because I honestly don't think it's fair to the other kids if he's getting to race it, or ride it whenever. I want to have changes where, I go out through there and I make more braking bumps in a spot with a dozer, pre-make them. That way, he ain't expecting it. I may tell him they're over there, don't know how to ride in it, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I guess it's benefiting you a little bit to be able to help. I know you tried to help Jeff, but I know how that normally went. But because now Cade's got somewhere to go ride, and so he can. I mean, you guys already rode a lot, but it's gonna help to have somewhere close to where you guys can consistently go ride, and now you got somewhere that you can put your input on to how it needs to be. That because I know we're on the same page with it. Like, we want to do stuff to help these kids grow in moto and be more prepared for the bigger races, and just be more experienced and become better riders, and all that's going to lead to them being faster. But the current way that it's been the last few years in our area, it's not going to produce kids, and it takes guys having a track that want to make a track technical that will produce that. And when I talked to Phillip the other day, and he said he was going to, he had a lot of ideas of slowing sections down, and I don't think people understand that the big fast tracks, they're not technical, so it's pretty easy. You go fast and you might jump a big jump, but that's not really that hard. You start to slow it down, tighten it up, make it more technical, let it get rough and rutted, and that just adds a whole nother level to it. And that it's hard. You get a lot of guys that are going to complain because it's hard, but that's what makes the kids in the area better. And you build a bigger, stronger community of riders that way versus just, because when you run off all your kids that are, trying to come up and race, and, it's too hard or too much money to compete, some of them lose interest. I mean, I 100% blame our area for Brady Little being done. And I know, there might have been other things with, going on with Marlon that, maybe he wanted to be done or whatever, but I feel like if he wouldn't have thought he had to go to Matt Walker's all the time and spend that kind of money, and he could have stayed local a little bit more, I feel like they might still be racing. And how many kids throughout the last 5 to 10 years quit because the same thing? They're just like, well, local racing's not really good around here. I got to drive 3 to 5 hours one way to get to a track that's worth it, and it's just too much, and they're done. So there's a big need for what y'all are wanting to do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Actually, it was Marvin that got us first going to Moto X. Back, I guess 3 years ago, and it was a great place and experience. But yeah, when you're working and got other kids and everything, I ain't gonna lie, we didn't have the money to go spend $750 a week at a training facility, so we just had to work with what we got. Which luckily we've been blessed to keep riding, and we do training with you, some and some other people, Matthew Weekly, some local stuff just because we can afford it, and plus it's good. I call it the basic stuff. I know you preach hard on it, but you go to a lot of places, they don't teach fundamentals. Look into it. You got to go somewhere where it's fundamentals, but even on a track like Mims now, we want to get it rough, rutted, and slow it down in spots, because as you and Grayson both know, when you go, you go to Freestone or somewhere like that, you ain't gonna get. It's way different than Swan. Swan's just
Swan's
flat,
wide open.
There's difference in tracks, and it's difference how you want to be. But if you're making it to the level that you want to go to, Loretta Lynn's, you gotta train in this rough stuff. You take the top riders, like in, Cage Group, Easton Graves, all that bunch, from Louisiana. They don't ride on freshly groomed tracks that does not rut. You've gotta be prepared, and we can't go to Louisiana or different places, Georgia, wherever, and train. But man, if we could make Mims where we could keep it drained, rain, that's my main concern. Keep it drained. Also keeping it where we can have it where we can water from the side of the track. I hate trucks driving on the track. It's my pet peeve.
Jeff only did that a couple times. I mean,
Wow.
he had one of the fastest kids in the country at his race, and he just was driving the water truck in front of us.
Yeah. But if we could get something like that in our area, and get trainers, Weekly, other trainers, from Tennessee and stuff, whoever Phillip wanted to let come on and put a class, I think it would build this area. And you was talking about, and he was about, people kind of fussing some on the changes or whatever of the track. I go around just walking around and ask them, hey, what y'all think about the track? Everybody loves it, but before they was all saying, "Oh, it's too dry, it's too dry, hard pack." But now all you're getting is, especially from the older group, some of the vet riders, even they're saying, "Oh, it's too rough, or it's too muddy in this spot, or something like that." And just the other day, had some more locals show up on 250s. They got out there. I see them up there all the time. They ride good. They were slipping and sliding, holding their feet off the pegs. And then here comes Kate around and, blew right past them, and they loaded up and left.
Yeah. So that's well, Grayson's.
That's what you got to get that. I guess that's where they need to learn how to ride that stuff if they want to be, because it will make you a better rider when it is dry.
Yeah. So Grayson we've talked about this, and you've maybe heard it some, but that's like Grayson's always been like, I'm not a good mud rider. He's like, so how do I, but nobody opens when it's even just slightly muddy. Everybody closes. They're like, oh, it's muddy or what, But how do you get better in the mud? You have to practice in the mud. You have to ride in it some. And if people would just if you could take the person that, they only want to ride in the perfect condition, whatever. And I get if you just ride for fun, you're not really worried about being better. I get it. But that's where, to me, then you got to understand when you go to a racetrack. So when I say a racetrack, a track that actually holds races and is trying to, attract people, be a bigger and better track. Even if it's a practice day, but you went to the racetrack on their practice day, you went to the racetrack. I mean, that's what you get is the racetrack. If you don't want that, well, there's other places that aren't racetracks that aren't going to prep it that aren't going to really prep it much. You can go there and ride, and that's what you chose to do. And I know some people probably don't like that opinion or idea or whatever, but for the kids and the guys that want to be better, they've got to be able to have somewhere somewhat local that they can go and ride those conditions to get better. And the guys that, they do race and they struggle at that stuff, the more you ride it, like you said, the better you're going to be at that. And then when you ride the hard conditions, the easy conditions, you're going to be even faster and better because it's way easier because it was a better condition. And so I know that, it's sometimes not always the funnest to ride in the mud, but
sucks.
Take for instance this. If you're a football player and you love playing football, but you kind of dread the working out part. But it's just part of it. That's what you have to do to be better. And it's the same if you're a pro motocrosser. I love racing motocross, but God, I hate having to run 3 miles a day or road bike 30, 50 miles a day, whatever they're doing. You might hate the working out part, but it's part of it to be better. It's the same thing. You might not love the mud, but you maybe need to understand that I need to ride this because it's going to make me better. And, and we need tracks that are going to, hey, it might not be the greatest, but we're going to open for you guys that want to come and ride this. You can come and ride.
Yeah, which they did the last couple of times, and it sucks. It was weekends I couldn't. One weekend I did the
you did the woods race.
Bridge race, and then the next weekend it was the
you did the running marathon.
Yeah, I did the half marathon. So I couldn't come those 2 weekends.
Matthew, can you believe that Grayson ran 13 miles?
13.1.
I cannot believe it, but I did see the pictures where he was there. So,
yeah, well, he ran it, and Mac.
Good job.
You know Mac, right?
Yeah.
Mac ran the whole.
Mike.
Yeah, he did the whole thing, 26.2.
26.2.
Yeah.
And almost the same time I did 13.1.
I probably wouldn't have told anybody that.
I'm giving Mac credit. Yeah, I'm fat and slow, but I finished it. But Mac killed it. So I'm just giving Mac credit.
So if you beat Mac on the track now,
and he beats me,
y'all can be even.
Yeah, we're even.
Okay, so just don't let Mac beat you on the track.
Yeah, we'll get there once time.
So hey, back on talking on the changes of the track, different things. This is for both of you. Is there an option to move where you come in? Is there a way? I
was thinking that.
I don't know if Phillip owns that anything between the highway there and where the track's actually at, but is that an option to come in on the other side?
Is it not for me?
There is an option.
Yeah.
I need to raise a whole bunch of money to put a bridge in.
Okay.
That's where we're going.
Or I had to dig a lot of dirt out to make it where you just drive across the bottom of the creek, put some concrete in there, which nobody's going to like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I own that all the way from the highway to the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So there's an option, and I would really love to have a second bridge, but bridges are not cheap.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've always wondered, just to not have to like, for people to come in and they park all in the field, and so they're not having to necessarily go. You just drive all the way past, both. It's kind of,
You can just come in, and then you can make it where you can probably expand the track, make it just one entrance, and so keep that bridge in the back for when you have night races and stuff.
Yeah, have an entrance for the night track and an entrance for the main track, and where the road is, you could actually pull the big track in over to that.
Yeah,
and kind of have a little bit more area.
Keep that bridge for riders who want to go ride both tracks.
Yeah,
you can cross it there if you were riding.
Yeah, because you could have a lot smaller area just for bike traffic and foot traffic. Yeah,
do something like that.
I'm like y'all. I think if it was a different entrance, yes, it will help and be more accommodated to the track. If it did, we kind of looked at it, but yeah, like Phillip says, it costs a lot of money. I know people that's done the bridges. The cheapest thing I've seen is go buy some 2 flatbeds and expand them across the creek. But there again, you've got to get that money to buy 2 old flatbeds from somebody, and make sure it's safe and supported right.
Yeah.
Matthew, go get Cade out there. Have him start welding. I don't want to hear no excuses from you. Go send Cade out there, tell him start working on it. That's all we got to do.
Yeah. He can weld. So.
Hey, I've seen Cade like some pictures and videos. Cade on the tractors out there helping prep the track and stuff, and I guess you got him out there, child labor and stuff.
Yeah, he works for free. So, we do feed him every now and then. But no, he's been a big help. If a lot of the younger group, is not there, he's more manageable because he wants to stay on the tractor or something like that and help. But like some kids his age, he's just a kid, 12 years old, so he wants to go ride pit bikes with them or something. So me and Phillip lose him right off the bat. His buddies are already there.
Yeah.
But my main concern, I told Phillip when he was talking about buying, I said, if you buy it, I'll help you get it up on its feet and everything, best I can, because I know, it did need a lot of help and still does. And I still tell everybody it's a work in progress. Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's true.
That's basically how I look at this track. And honestly, we had trouble with Phillip's Dozer one time, and I had a farmer friend that lives close to me. He loaned us his Dozer to make the race that we had on it. If it wouldn't have been for him, I don't think we would have been able to have the race. So, people know what we're trying to do. I even told the farmer, hey, I'm helping for free. We're just in a bind. So, he said, just bring it home full of fuel. So it's good to know people like that that's willing to help out and keep a race going or a track going. If he ever did have a bigger Dozer, that would, he's got a small Dozer, which it runs good and everything, operates good. But there again, you're looking at a really big outdoor track that's my main concern. I'm not worried about the little track, honestly, because I can build one in my backyard,
Yeah, I mean,
like being honest, like most people, but it's got land, they can, but the big track is where it's at for us. So that's why my main concern is to help Phillip get it going. And I would like to see us put some more light poles up, run some more speakers, loudspeakers out to where all the campers park at. I know that's we've discussed that, or we're discussing it right now. But I'd like to see that because sometimes you can't pick up the radio stations.
Yeah.
And I do like speakers. I've been to a lot of tracks that had speakers, and man, it worked good, even though they had radio.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, actually. I'm kind of, Phillip knows, I haven't really told that many people that, I want to do something more and, put more in. Maybe, I don't know if my name helps with anything, but Grayson says no. But, just try to, help the area more and try to have some more influence on stuff. But I was thinking about different things with tracks and stuff, and I was thinking about, I'm like, man, when I was a kid, you went pretty much everywhere, and didn't matter where you were at in the facility, you could hear the announcer, and it kind of gave it that element of like, what's races going on. You kind of, when I was a kid, I was like, Kate, I'm, running around with my buddies. I wanted to do that as much as I did wanted to race, and but you could always hear on the loudspeaker what race is going on, so you could keep up with it. It seems like, man, now like hardly anyone has a loudspeaker, and you can't, how are you supposed to know? Like, you're just always in a guess. And like me, with all the kids racing, I'm like always like, all right, what race are they on? It's like the constant thing in my head the whole time is like, what race are they on? And you're having to ask people or run up to the starting gate and look. And so yeah, that would be a huge plus to have it. I mean, you could even probably hire Grayson to announce races.
Oh yeah,
he would probably sit up there with Twisted Teas. You could buy him. I'm not gonna say one case. I don't think that's enough. 2 cases of Twisted Teas.
Oh yeah, and I'll be up there all day and night.
He would skip racing, and he would just announce.
Yep, I can announce. I'll tell you what, buddy.
I don't know. There would be a lot of names butchered. There would be a lot of names butchered.
Oh yeah, people wouldn't get a right name. Nobody would have the right name. People wouldn't know what the hell's going on, but I would.
They would know what race was going on.
Yeah,
that'd be about it.
That'd be the only thing they'd get out of it. But it'd be a good time.
Yeah.
Going back to like track maintenance.
Yeah.
While I'm just thought about, everybody, and even myself included. Yeah, everybody goes to the track. They see the track being ready to ride or close to being able to ride within, 30 minutes to an hour when they arrive. But let me tell you, it's more work than what I thought. Especially if you ain't got real big pieces of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And also, one, I know dirt. I've been in the dirt business myself and everything, but honestly, I've never been around a dirt race track to know really how to prep it. I know how it needs to look and feel, but dirt's different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
different consistencies.
One section may be sandier. One section may be got more clay in it. So, I'm trying to figure it out right now. And, I'm wondering, hey, do we need to put sawdust here in the turns to make it rut better? And, that's the main thing. Just learning how to work the track itself, in basically 2 months, I guess. Yeah. So I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 different types of dirt out there, and I didn't even realize that from riding it until I got to working it, and it's like, man, it's in that one field. There's probably 4 different types of soil just on that track.
Yeah.
And it's and you got to build everything differently for each different type of soil, and you almost got to prep it just a little different. And some of it won't prep the same.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put more some of it than you do the other. Some you just barely got to sprinkle water on it, and it's soup. Others you got to put 80,000 gallons on it.
Yeah.
Still dry, but
yeah. Me and Matthew have always kind of talked about like the different dirts and the track, and like I think if you gotta like you said, learn the dirt at your place, but learn all the different kinds of dirt, learn how much water it can take, and you have to learn different sections. Hey, that section holds more for whatever reason. That dirt stays wetter than over here. So, let's not put as much water here, but we got to put more over here. And, a good test for me has always been, put your hands in it. Like, get down off the piece of equipment and actually, like, at ground level, like, look at it and see, like, hey, how deep does this go? And, like, what's the consistency? Because that tells you a lot by, I think some guys get in the tractor and they just make rounds and throw some water down and like, all right, here we go. And you get a lot of inconsistencies there. Like you were talking about the, different sections will be different. And I feel like now that y'all are saying like the different types of dirt, that you think like, now that I think about it, Jeff would just go and kind of, rip it however deep he felt like ripping it that day. And, there would be sections that were really good, and then there'd be sections that just weren't so good. Mm-hmm. And that's probably because it's, the two total different types of dirt. The softer stuff, obviously, is going to hold more water. It's going to, rip a little better, rut better. And then the harder stuff, you're going to have to work it more. You're going to have to probably be deeper, put more water in it. And adding something to it might not be a bad idea. So, just, and honestly, Matthew, you've been to Golden Pine, right?
Yes.
Okay, so which I don't know. Y'all weren't racing when Randy owned it, but so I don't know. It's still, you can tell when you go up on top of the hills. You've got like a lot harder clay-based dirt, and in the bottoms it's like really sandy. It takes some like skill to go from like that harder dirt to that sandy dirt, and then you're back and forth a lot in one lap. So to me, when you have different types of soil on your track, you're making a more technical track that way. Whether your benefit is, hey, we can work this easier because we put some sawdust in this section, but the rest of the track doesn't have sawdust. Well, that makes a different element for the rider. So you're also making a more technical track, also with making it, easier for you to maintain. If that makes sense.
We was just talking about, Golden Pines the other day. I think me and Roland Wilkerson, talk once a week about different track prep and stuff. Yeah, you're right. The Golden Pines, when me and him was talking about it, I said, that's a track that you can go ride, and it's 3 to 4 different levels of how the dirt is. You got hard packed red clay, you got some loose spots, that's 3 inches deep. Then you go to a foot deep of sand in that back section in the bottom, and then you come back and it's a mixture over the rollers. It's perfect for riding and adapting real quick, because honestly, you got to adapt real fast on a racetrack from what I can see, watch. You got to be quick thinking, and if you can ride on 3 or 4 different types of soil, I think that does.
Oh yeah, for sure. Makes you a lot better rider having the experience of, I like to tell the kids when I'm doing schools, it's dirt. Dirt's dirt. You're on a bike. Like, you don't overthink it, but the experience with all of it, I think that's kind of what makes you have that mentality of, I know I saw a thing on Facebook. A kid asked, and I usually don't comment on all this because I don't have the time to back and forth or whatever. But he had asked him on one of these groups, he's like, hey, how come these A guys and these fast B guys, like, as soon as the track opens, they're out there just wide open, hitting everything, scrubbing, and it's the experience. You get experience of, like,
you can look at it. And
you can look at it and know, okay, I know how fast to hit that jump.
You've done it before plenty of times, and it just still blows. Like where Lazy River. Yeah. You just come out and then you're just right over it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just like, dude, it's gonna take me 2 practices to hit that thing. And
it didn't take you 2 practices.
And you just like come out and you just like look at it and you're like barely even you didn't even walk the track and you're just like and just like right over it. And I'm like, piss me off.
But that's just the experience thing of, like, you can look at stuff and judge it, by the height and distance and the different dirts and things like that. Same deal. Like, hey, I can be on the gas this hard, or I need to be a little bit easier on the throttle because it's like, be a little slick, lose the rear if you get too hard on it. And
it makes you think a lot. Like Golden Pine, you can't just go and do just laps. You have to like think about it every time you change consistency.
For sure.
It's hard.
Yeah. So I feel like you guys are moving in the right direction. Like, you know, I mean, Matthew, obviously, you know, I trust you because, you know, we talk a lot. So I know, you know, that's what I told Phillip back at Back 40 a while back before he bought it. And I was like, dude, if Matthew's wanting to help, let him help because he knows, you know, he wants to make something for Cade to ride, and he knows, like, you know, we've been enough places and talked enough to know, like, to, you know, be on the same page with a lot of it on how, you know, we think a track should be. And Phillip, I'm glad you got it and you're as open-minded and, like, willing to, like, let people give you ideas and help and stuff because, you know, a lot of guys that buy tracks and all, it's like they've got the mentality of, yeah, I bought this and I know what to do and, you know, it's mine.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate you as an owner. So.
Thank you. And one thing, even Phillip said, we'd like to get, you know, more experienced riders like you, Jake. You know, some people that's maybe been pro, that still ride, you know, twice a year like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe come down and, you know, and just say, well, yeah, this, you know, not on race day or something, and just say, yeah, you could do this. You give different ideas, and, you know, where we could do small changes, but if it didn't feel like it worked, we could tear it right back down, you know, in a couple of hours and fix it back like it was or something like that. But that's a goal for me and Phillip, just to get more input from better riders, you know, and but it needs to be riders like it's gone. You know, I'd like to really sit down with Logan Parks.
Yeah, Logan would know for sure.
That's a good one.
I mean, you know, Matthew, you know, like the guys that have been places and, you know what's going on and, you know, and we're all going to have, you know, kind of the same mindset on it, I would say, but maybe different ideas a little bit, just, you know, and I've honestly always have wanted it to where the tracks would be more open and the guys would be like, hey, I know you've been to, you know, pretty much every outdoor national track that there is, current and past, and, you know, you've been to Loretta's tons and all these places. It's like, hey, what's your idea on it? Like, what do you think? And then actually kind of take it to heart a little bit, because I remember, man, this was like, I'm going to say 2011, 12, somewhere around there, and the old owner of Golden Pine, the guy that opened it, Randy. So I've known him pretty much my whole life. He raced in my grandpa's track when he was like on an 80. And he was a decent vet guy, would go, you know, places my dad would go. So I was a kid going to these places. Randy would always buy land and build a track, try to make it work. We always got invited because we were, you know, in the group. And when he bought Golden Pine, I remember going, and it was like, you wouldn't even recognize what it was then to what it is now. Like, it wasn't even close to the same. I mean, it's like, you know, first started out. And, you know, at that point, he was taking all the advice in the world. And then, but that was in like 2005 probably. By the time you get to 11, 12, where he's had some regionals and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was, you know, Johnny Moore could attest for this too, because I know he had said stuff to him. They were doing stuff to the track that we weren't like big fans of, kind of made it one line and stuff. And we had told Randy, like, hey, like, it was better a few years ago when you were doing this. And it was more of how they were doing the sand. They were taking a lot of sand from the bottom, piling it up on the top. And you had the hard base up top. And if you didn't mix the sand in good, you just had like a powder burn, because it would get down to the hard base. That would be just hard packed slick. And you would slide into a big powder berm, and it didn't make ruts anymore. So it made everything one line. And we told Randy that, and like, he just was like, you know, mad because we're like, you know, he thinks we're complaining about the track, and it's like, dude, I'm not complaining. I'm telling you, like, it was better the way it was before. So whatever you're doing now, like, could, like, our idea is like, go back to what you were, you know, let's not put all the sand and but But I think he had some influence from like MX Sports and those guys of like, you know, oh, you put a lot of sand on it, you want to water it as much. And I don't know where somebody came up with this idea, but if it's hot and dry and sunny, I mean, it's going to evaporate the water, and you've got to water it. It doesn't matter if, you know, I don't think sand holds moisture a little bit better, but it's not like sawdust or something where it's like sawdust really holds moisture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like to me, if you're going to put anything in it, you put sawdust in it because that's really what holds the moisture better. Sand is like, if it's a really wet area, you put sand in it to kind of sop it up a little bit so it's not as muddy. The sand kind of, you know, the different texture, I guess, makes it to where it's wet, but it's not muddy.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? That makes sense.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So.
And, you know, talking about that, you know, I've even thought reaching out to, like, Vernon and seeing, you know, if he ever comes back across this way, going to Georgia to ride or work on track somewhere, just see if he'd stop by and say, hey, yeah, you need to do this or do that, or you need to add this, or, you know, or different track builders.
Yeah, for sure.
And let them look at it because, you know, they know where I don't know what it really, really needs right now, and they would or something. So that would help. Or
I'm sure
if anybody's listening.
I'm sure Vernon would help, you know, I mean, at least give some advice, you know, and Vernon's a good dude, and he knows. I mean, Vernon was my level or maybe better at a time, so Vernon for sure knows, and just, you know, like you said, get different opinions, and hey, Ryan listens to this some, I think, Ryan Hall, he would, you know, I think Ryan, if you asked him, like, hey, you want to, you know, come out and, you know, we're going to be working on the track this weekend. If you want to come out and, you know, help change a jump or whatnot, I think Ryan's kind of like, he told me he would come help, but he doesn't want to ask. You know, it's like one of those things of like, you know, if somebody asks me, I'm willing to come out and help. And, you know, he knows how to work equipment, and he was a pretty good rider when he was racing. So that's just another, you know, that's a guy right in the, you know, right in Nim's backyard, pretty much.
Yeah, down the road.
I talked to Ryan other day after I got off the phone with you.
Okay.
And he seemed very interested and wanted to come out and camp for the weekends, you know, even when we're closed, and help him work and stuff. And
yeah.
He's only 15 minutes from the house, and he'll come and help as much as he wants. We talked about that, so hopefully he'll be out soon.
Yeah. And Ryan spent a bunch of time before he quit. He spent a bunch of time at Matt Walker's. So, like, he knows, like, what tracks need to be, you know. I mean, he's raced Loretta's twice, so he knows, he understands, you know, he understands where a track should be, what direction it needs to go. And to me, like, we've got people that want to help and want to make things better. So, like, utilize it, you know. And I think some of the track owner guys they like to say that, you know,
their way or the highway.
Well, no, it's not necessarily that, but like nobody will help. But there are people that will help, but they won't take the help, you know. I think that was kind of like Jeff, you know, like he would, I don't ever have any help, and I'm like, well, man, I know for a fact Pettigo's asked plenty of times to help with stuff, and you know, but I just
I point blank asked Jeff 3 times, you know, and if I could come out and help, you know, just have the full of fuel or whatever. You know, 2 times he said, well, if you could, you know, it don't need nothing. And one time he said, yeah. And then I asked him before I left, I said, you want me to come out this week? Well, I'll get up with you. You know, and that was it. And then when Phillip bought it, Jeff even asked Buddy, he said, how is he getting, you know, Pettigo to help, you know, with the dozer and everything? And he looked at him and he said, well, he's offered to help you plenty of times and you wouldn't let him, you know. If the help's there, you know, take it when you can. You know, I'd love, like honestly, I'd love to get up there and work every day, you know, that I could. But, you know, some days I can't. So any help would be appreciated throughout the motocross family. Yeah. And that's, it goes back to, you know, me knowing y'all. You know, I wouldn't know y'all if it wasn't for Cade starting to ride dirt bikes. We've got friends all over United States now because of it. So just wanting to make it local again, North Mississippi.
Yeah, well, man, honestly, oh, man, it's Mississippi Moto. I mean, I don't, in the late 80s, early 90s, my grandfather had a track, and I hear a lot of people that raced back then, they talk how good Pearl was so good, It's hard for me to remember because I was so little, but Kevin Windham grew up racing there. Bobby Reagan, that owned Star, was, taking the kids he was helping there. And, I was so young that it just doesn't, it was just normal for me. I don't really remember. When it got to where I was old enough to really remember, I feel like my dad's track was like the only thing really going. And we were traveling so much, he let it go because he's like, he didn't have the time and help to do it like he wanted to do it. So he let it go, and it's just like at that point, like there was not much in Mississippi. And it was guys that came and tried to do stuff, but to me, they were kind of like the same guys that are doing stuff now that it probably would rub people wrong and make them mad, but honestly, they were out to just make $1 instead of making it better. So they were, the tracks they built were smaller, easier to maintain, maybe didn't have to spend as much money on it, but the fees were the same. So, it wasn't building a rider base or building anybody better. It was just, hey, we got some races here, and, guys would come race, and it was, your local crowd every 3 to 5 years was different because people were, coming and going so much. And when Golden Pine opened, Golden Pine built a pretty good community for like central Mississippi. So South Louisiana already had a good crowd. Kentwood really, really built a good crowd back then, which they've always had a good rider base. But I feel like Kentwood helped really elevate guys in that area. We went to Kentwood a lot, only being a little over an hour from there back then. We went there a lot. And then Golden Pine, though, like when it really started and kicked off, man, I feel like from 06 or so till like 2013, 14, like there was some kids actually like making Lorettas on little bikes from Mississippi. There was, it was building a little bit. And then Golden Pine went away, and we didn't have any real other tracks. We had some small stuff, but some of that stuff kind of went away. And it's like some of those kids kind of got into the age where it's easier to quit, and they have other distractions. So a lot of them quit, go away, and then it's like then it just completely. It's completely died pretty much. And I can speak for North Mississippi and Memphis area. When I first started coming up here and racing, which I knew guys that raced up here, the Millers, Brandon and Blair Miller, Josh Cartwright, Matthew Weekley, Zach Bishop, all of them, even though they were way younger than me or kids, I remember seeing them at bigger races and places. And then so my in-laws moved up here, and we started coming up here in 2010 doing the King of the Hill series. And, dude, there was a ton of tracks, good turnouts. It was producing kids. I don't know if these kids would be like, oh, yeah, that series, really helped us. But, Matthew grew up racing that series. Zach Bishop grew up racing that series. Josh Cartwright. Casey Cochran started in it.
I would say they would think. I would think they would say.
Well, we'll have Josh on here one day, and we'll ask, we'll talk to him. But, Casey Cochran got to start there. Kinsey grew up doing it. But that community of, you showed up, and you would have 200, 250 entry races all the time, and sometimes bigger than that on, several different tracks in the area. You didn't have to travel that far to have good races. It had a good community, but when King of the Hill went away, and it went away in 12, I think, and then they tried to do AMT 13 or whatever.
And 14.
By the time 14 rolls around, it was dead. And it's been pretty much, dead. And I say dead because it's not what it was. It fell off so much, and it's been 8 years or something. And but it takes, like I said, it takes a lot of work. It takes a community of all of us wanting the same thing. I think when King of the Hill was around, you had a lot of guys that wanted that same thing. So it grew. It had people interested. It kept people interested. So when you get change, it's you know it's. I think we can build it. We just it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight.
No, and I think it's on Phillip's end of managing it and everything, and promoting the days that he's open and stuff like that. It's going to take some time, and because like North Alabama and Central Alabama, they've got it wrapped up. Over there, they know, and they have really big crowds, so it's going to take some timing on when to open, watch what races they have going on and stuff like that. After they post schedules, that can pull some of the Alabama crowd and stuff like that, and then maybe they'll see that the changing that we're making is for the better, so they'll be satisfied with coming over here, and that way it gives them another place to go. Their same old track, because honestly, I've took Cade a bunch of times places, and he's like, no, I don't want to go because we ride there all the time. It ain't changed, something like that. So, and you're not getting better when you're doing that same thing.
Yeah. Well, Matthew, you can if you start to look at it and you're looking into the future of what could we pull from and what's the potential, if you build stuff good enough that attracts people, there's a good rider base in Alabama. There's a good rider base in Louisiana. They're building a stronger base in Arkansas. North of us, if you get Southern Illinois and stuff, there's a pretty strong base. Missouri, there's a strong base. That's only, you're only, 3 to 5 hours from these different areas. You start pulling guys from those areas. Now you're talking, 300 to 500 entries, depending on where you pull from. Or, hey, you get lucky on a certain and pull a McLarty and end up with 700 entries, just because I don't know if you would be able to fit that, which McLarty couldn't fit it either. And I feel like my experience, I didn't know anybody at McLarty, but Matthew can tell you, I said from the very beginning, I was like, man, they're not going to get this through in the day, because the way they were splitting the practices and just taking their time, I'm like, man, I don't know if y'all understand what 700 entries is, but you're going to have to, you've got to get moving on that. And, I don't feel like they did a terrible job with it. It probably could have been a little bit better. But, they did I feel like they did decent with, not being prepared for a 700 entry race. And
a big thing too with a big race like that, and just any race, especially I'm running the race ready stuff.
Yep.
Is when people, they know they're coming to race, if they register online, and that's not just for my track, that's for any track that's running race ready. It's any track that offers online registration. Use that registration, and it cuts down on time morning of the race for everybody.
Yeah.
And then they come and check in and go on about their way. And that was been one of my problems with the race ready, was not a lot of people were registering online. So then you had to create them a whole profile, which took time, which takes a lot of time. Where even with the old systems, you still got to build them somewhat of a profile, so that would take time. And like McLarty, that big race, they were still letting people register at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
When it should have been cut before then. But they had a 3-mile long line out the gate, people trying to get in.
Yeah, they did. Yep. You mentioned the signing up online. I feel like that's a that's a promoting deal, and I want to help with it as much as I can. But it's make a video and post it all over social media and do it more than once, and explain to people, hey, if you're coming, please get signed up online, because it's going to make everything run faster, run smoother. And which I don't know why you wouldn't. Every time I go somewhere and they offer it, I'm signing up, because I have to rush with my crew if I had to go sign up, because I have to fill out so many papers and stuff like that. So I would much rather sign up ahead of time and then just go check in when I get there. And I think that's kind of like an education thing, I think, because I don't think some people kind of understand. Like they've never used it before, and they don't understand that, like, you know, how much easier it makes it on the track, how much easier it makes it on them also to go ahead and, you know, get this done and get signed up. So I feel like if we educate people and kind of, you know, let them know ahead of time, hey, please sign up, I think that, you know, won't be avoided. There's still going to be some people that don't sign up, but maybe we could make it better.
Right. And one thing that I was talking about, you know, look at schedules. You know, we're not wanting to basically steal that rider from a different track. You know, that's why it takes planning because everybody needs it to make the motocross stronger in our area. You know, I'd love to see Phillip work with Tony and them from back 40 because, you know, here lately a lot of the riders are Southern Tennessee people. You know, so, you know, around Jackson area. That's good.
How far is
how
far is Jackson from where the track's at, from NIMS?
Hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, hour 45.
Okay, yeah. So to me, it's more beneficial for both places to work together. And I don't feel like back 40 opens just a ton. So it as long as those guys are like, hey, yeah, we're willing to work with you. I mean, for Phillip, it's like they don't open that much, so it's not, you don't have to close that much, and it makes like you're saying, Matthew, it just makes it a stronger community because if a guy in Jackson, if back 40 opens, he's probably not going to drive 2 hours to come to your track, and vice versa. A guy in Tupelo is probably not going to go to back 40 when you're open, just because it's, you know, it economically what's smarter to do. And if you work together, then you start getting the back 40 regulars. Back 40 starts getting your regulars. Bam, you just made your crowd double because you're willing to work with a track, and that's just communication. You know, being cool people and saying, hey, you know, and being able to plan ahead of time and you know, post a schedule like, you know, a month or two ahead of time to say, hey, this is when I'm going to open. And he says, okay, well, I'm going to open this weekend because you're not open. And you can plan for it that way.
Yeah. And, you know, that goes along to any place, you know, track or work. You know, my boss here at Water Trucking, he stresses communication. You know, communication is key, and that's everywhere. That's why I think it'd make the motocross in our area better if we could work with other track owners and, you know, the riders and parents, you know, open at the right times in the summer. You do. I know Phillip does open during the week. Summertime will be great for that. You know, it would be for me, you know, where I could go home, pick up Cade, get back up there and, you know, ride, you know, 2 hours before dark. So it's just good to, you know, for everybody.
Yep, it is. Well, do y'all have anything that y'all want to tell any of the listeners before we wrap it up?
Appreciate everybody being patient, you know, with us thus so far, you know, just trying to make it a better place. Maybe when we do have the races, we'll have all the kinks worked out where we, you know, start on time. And that's where I'd love to see it, where we could start on time and be done at 3:30.
Yeah.
4 o'clock at the latest because people's got to drive home. So, you know, we're cook out. You know, we need to get the grill masters back together. You know.
Yeah, I feel like the starting on time and the trying to finish as early as possible is a very big thing because that's on the mom and dad there. Like, you know, ultimately the kid wants to track better. Sometimes the dad wants it that way too because he's got, you know, ambitions for his son or daughter. And but, you know, it getting out of there at a decent time and everything running smooth and getting started when it's supposed to, like a lot of the parents that aren't riding the motorcycle, that's like things they're looking for. So, yeah, those are important things also.
Yeah, well, that's about all I got to say. But Phillip may want to throw in a word or two.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for giving us, you know, give us another shot and a chance, coming out and seeing the changes. And I've even had riders that weren't exactly pleased with what I had, but they come back and just understanding and being patient, like Matthew said, and give us another shot. It's a different track. It's completely different than, I've had people tell me that before. It's completely different. The same track, but yet it's still completely different than it ever has been before. I've had some say it's the best it's ever been. I've had some kind of not, but we're going to make those changes. We're going to make those improvements. We're open for suggestions. My Facebook Messenger comes straight to my phone, and I'm the only one that answers it. So if people have suggestions or questions or anything, feel free to reach out. I'll take everyone's input into consideration in the future planning of the place.
Yep. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate the time. Glad we could get you on and get, hopefully, our listeners, if they haven't been since Phillip bought it, can see now that, hey, let me go there and let's try this out and see the new stuff is about. And also, like with y'all on here talking, like people can kind of like it's a little more personal, like get to know you a little bit and be like, okay, like, I see that, how that guy feels about it, what he wants to do. And I feel like that goes a long ways with people.
Yeah. Maybe they think like maybe that loudmouth country guy isn't such an asshole like Pettigo. And then so they're like, I think I could talk to him again. Maybe stuff like that. Because that guy's been really mean to me sometimes, and so I just have to,
Yeah, I got some pictures of you, Grayson, in dirt samples.
It's okay. He sends dirt samples of me to you, so if I fall, all I gotta do is look up because Pettigo's gonna be right there taking a picture of him somehow.
He just.
I mean, you can fall in the very far back of the track. And somehow he's at the fence taking a picture of you.
Yeah, he's in a damn tree.
All right.
One thing I am going to add, I hadn't told Phillip, but this is something I've seen at some different places. They've got comment boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes I think people see the track or see this section or see something going wrong. Well, they don't want to mention something because, hell, they don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't care feelings. I want to know the truth.
Yeah, you need to know.
We can,
yeah.
And I think we need to make a comment box, and put it somewhere and announce, hey, if you see something you don't like or do like, man, please leave a comment. And you ain't got to write your name or nothing on it. Just drop it in the box or whatever. I think that would help.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Then leave it anonymous, and then they don't have to worry about that. Because I think some people will be like, man, if I say something, he's gonna kick me out, and I can never come here and ride again. And it's the only place to ride. And I've kind of bit my tongue about saying something to Jeff because I thought if I say something, he's going kick me out, and I didn't bite my tongue hard enough because I said something. He didn't kick me out. He changed his tune a little bit, but it was a safety issue to me. Like I needed him to split the practice, and he acted like he didn't want to do it. And it's like, hey, dude, you can't have 40 big bikes out here and think it's okay to throw 3 little bikes out here at the same time. That's just, you can't do that. And he was willing to take that risk, and I'm not.
One thing I would like to see, in the future is spring when we start opening, different people. I'd like to see, a Shop Motopod banner or Graham KTM, different sponsors. Even if it was just to get y'all's name out there, whatever, just any advertisement, always looks good or catches somebody's eye.
Yeah, well, I want to help with that. I'm trying to work on some stuff, so. Shop Motopod don't have any money, so that's.
Can I just get a picture of my face, like Shop Moto, like the O's are our face? No, that's so smart. Like the O's are
just gave
face.
Grayson a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, I'll start designing it.
All right, well, we'll let you guys run, and we'll share this I'll get it posted over the weekend, and I'll let you guys know when it's posted, and y'all can share it up, and hopefully get some. We'll get some new listeners, and we'll get some new riders out at the new Mims track.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
See ya. All right. What'd you think?
Yeah. I've talked to him before, so.
Yeah, I've talked to. Obviously, you've talked to Pettigo. You talked to Phillip before.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit when I went to the race for Sarah.
Yeah, I talked to Phillip at Back 40 a good bit before he bought it. He told me he was, trying to buy it. It was in the process or whatever. And, he would. Our kids were in the same class. He'd talk to me on the gate. Talk to me different times he saw me. A lot of times like, hey man, what do you think if I buy it? This, that, ideas, wanting my opinion, wanting ideas. He's more open to like, hey, let's try that. Hey, let's do, because I think he sees like your rider base is what it is. How do we make it bigger?
Yeah.
We got to make it bigger.
He's like, if you can try it, he's like Pego said, like, you can try it. He's like, if we have to just tear it down again,
if you try and it doesn't work, just go back to what you were doing. Yeah. It's not like that. You have a blueprint already. Like,
It's like, like I had I got to talk to him for the race for Sarah. Like, they didn't have their plaques yet or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, went up there to get my $13 I won or something. And he's like, yeah, the plaques aren't in yet, but here's what I'm doing. Everybody, like, next time you come, you can practice for free and then come pick your plaque up. And I'm like, no. I was like, oh, let's make a deal. Like, next time I come practice, I'll pay for my practice, and I'll just come pick my plaque up. Like, I'm not gonna take your free practice. Like, $25, $30 for me. It's like, yes, I'm willing to pay you because I want you to grow. I'm not if it was like $200, or something.
Yeah. If everybody knew what he paid for the trophies, then they would willingly be like, okay, I'm paying to practice to come pick.
Yeah, because I'm gonna pay for your practice because that's just the right thing to do, and I think that's what it should be like.
Yeah, well, I didn't really understand the trophy deal. You know how I am about trophies. I'm not huge on trophies, but he told me like what it called. Like, dude, trophies is legitimately like a quarter of the cost of running a race.
Probably.
That's crazy, dude. I think that's just absolutely insane. Because that drives our prices of racing up, and you know how I am. Trophies are whatever. I got even my kids' trophies. They're just collecting dust in a shop.
No, they're more like in the garage, just scattered everywhere.
In my little shop. They're not in the garage.
If you would put them in a box, maybe, and
okay, that's what they are in my dad's shop.
No, okay, well,
all these trophies I won.
We don't need to argue.
Even my Loretta's trophy is in my shop collecting dust.
Fuck you. I can't believe you.
I knew you were gonna.
You're a piece of. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
In the episode, that just pissed me off.
I'm sorry.
Really?
Do you want it? How about I bring it up here and put it on your toolbox?
I don't have room. I got plenty.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now the Loretta trophy was so important.
On my tool,
but now he won't take it.
I'll take it home and put it like above my bed or something.
I bet you would take it and put it above your bed. All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. So everybody like, subscribe, share away, and we out.
See ya.